Yes, man, from the dirty South, dirty Carolina. From the South, giving hip-hop mouth to mouth.
Yeah, my hip-hop is good to the last drop. Doesn't matter if you a have or a have not. Hip-hop is a bush, sometimes you gotta trim it.
WK2FM, World Knowledge, two free minds in your behind at the same time as Kamisi Fox. WK2FM is the brainchild of Kamisi Fox and DJ Wicked Wayne. We about to make it plain. Yo, the white Afrikaners are here. The white Afrikaners are here. White refugees from South Africa that President Trump said they was over there getting done wrong. White South Afrikaners, supposed refugees fleeing from persecution, according to Donald Trump, fleeing from something. I tell you what, also, you notice right away, they getting processed and everything without any hassle. They not dropping them in black cities like Chicago, like they did those other refugees or migrants or whatever you want to call them. You know, the ones from Mexico or wherever. Nah, they sending them to places like Idaho and Minnesota. They sending them, you know, to the white folks, to the white areas, to get them hooked up, set up, and all that. Oh, but of course they're not getting any special treatment, right? We're going to play that game. We're going to pretend like they're not getting special treatment. All right, y'all can play that game. After they've gone through the process and have become citizens, soon they too will have the right to remain violent. Yeah, I had to go ahead and lace this report with my skepticism. Now let me just read what they have to say about it. White South African Afrikaner refugees arrive in the U.S. on a government chartered plane. That's another thing, on a government chartered plane. I mean, just sounds like the hookup to me. I'm just saying. I hope it don't sound like I'm jealous, right? Why would I be jealous? Nah, that's not it. No, I'm just like, y'all ain't gonna play in my face without me saying what it is. We know that whites and always have the ability to exercise plausible deniability. Like, no, that's not what's happening. You just get to say, no, that ain't true. Just like you did when you was roughing up those Haitian refugees at the border. You know, one of the officials just said, nope, that's not true. That didn't happen, right? Just even though there's footage of it happening, right? Nah, gotta state the facts and, you know, stop playing, okay? Don't play in my face. Anywho, it says a group of, let me scroll it, right? It says a group of 59 white Afrikaners who have been given refugee status by the Trump administration arrived at Dulles Airport outside Washington, D.C. on Monday on a charter flight paid for by the U.S. government. Man, I don't recall United States treating anybody else like this. You know, maybe Ukrainians, but it's a white thing, most definitely. Most definitely. The Afrikaners, descendants of mainly Dutch colonists, left Johannesburg on Sunday night. They were seen at the airport in Johannesburg with carts full of suitcases, but declined to speak to the media. They are being greeted by U.S. officials and are expected to give a news conference shortly. Yeah, they declined to speak to the media because they're not going through anything. You know, they got to conceal that some, you know, if they were going through something, they would be eager to speak to the media. Wouldn't you think? I mean, that's just my thoughts. If you going through something and you fleeing a situation, you want to speak to the media as quickly as you can. But now they were probably told to chill out. We got to get y'all processed and get y'all in good position so we can get you, you know, able to vote and give you the right to remain violent and all that other stuff that we give to other white citizens so you can help us try to keep control of the Negroes. Wait a minute, I could be jumping the gun. I'm supposed to be unbiased news reporting. My bad, hold up. Let me get back into news report mode for a second. Let me pretend like it ain't what it is. All right, one document seen by NPR said there would be food and items for the children upon arrival. It said the Refugee Services Office of the Catholic Diocese of Virginia would be on site to offer assistance. After the press conference, the families will depart for their end destinations in several states, including Minnesota, Nevada, and Idaho, and other white enclaves where they will feel nice and safe and white, and they will have the right to remain violent soon. And we just gonna give it, sound like a school field trip, like they got their lunches packed and ready. I don't know. Anyway, the South Africans will now have a pathway to U.S. citizenship and be eligible for government benefits. How did I know that? Another document seen by NPR included detailed guidance for the South Africans arriving. American family members of Afrikaners granted refugee status would be asked to help them. Those who didn't have the family in the country would be placed in a location that has local organizations to provide you with support, it said. Your case manager will pick you up from the airport and take you to housing that they have arranged for you. This housing may be temporary, like a hotel, while a local organization helps you identify more long-term housing, it said. Wow, I mean, this is just going without any problems whatsoever. I mean, not to say that they should have any problems, but this is going just too smooth, ain't it? I mean, well, damn. I mean, we didn't hear about this. It seems, but once again, immigrants of all types get treated better, have been given things, while foundational black Americans get nothing. We are over here getting the boot. The South Africans are also informed you're expected to support yourself quickly in finding work. Adults are expected to accept entry-level employment in fields like warehousing, manufacturing, and customer service. You can work toward higher level employment over time, and they're going to get their promotions real quick. Come on. It won't be long. They'll be up entry level today, supervisor tomorrow, and so on. The part they're not telling us is, well, they're also telling the immigrants, well, you got white privilege. You got white privilege, so don't worry, However, the document stated that any credentials from your home country may not automatically transfer to the United States. That last point will be of interest to many Afrikaner applicants, some of whom are farmers and have previously told NPR they hope to continue farming in the U.S. All right. Not everybody's going along with it. Let me get to that part. South Africans incredulous. The resettlement effort comes after President Trump signed an executive order in February claiming minority Afrikaners were being unfairly treated in South Africa and offering them possible resettlement in the U.S. Trump also cut off aid to South Africa, which has been in his crosshairs since he returned to office, for its DEI policies and support of the Palestinians. Okay, what's going on? These whites are being mistreated, according to Trump. They ain't being specific about what the mistreatment is. What? Are they being beaten, killed, robbed? What? Trump also says the South African government is taking land from Afrikaners, but there is no evidence of this. On Monday, speaking at the White House, Trump repeated this claim. It's genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. Trump told journalists, they happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. That's interesting. He said, white or black, it doesn't matter to me. Then he goes on to say, but white farmers, he went on to emphasize their whiteness right after saying that. Did anybody catch that? Let me run that one more time. Y'all might be listening slow. He said, they happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed. He went right back to it. Amazing. You just can't hide that white privilege, that built-in white privilege inside your psyche, Trump. You just can't do it. The South African government did pass a land reform law earlier this year, allowing in rare circumstances for expropriation without compensation, but zero land has been seized. In fact, while whites in South Africa account for some 7% of the population, they still own about 70% of commercial farmland. And these are the people that are getting, they got refugee status? Are you serious? So the whites ain't even going to talk about how these Afrikaners took the land from the people of South Africa. They just go act like that just never happened. They're over there getting mistreated. Boy, I tell you, whites boy, y'all the Lion Kings. The South African government has been surprised by Trump's attacks, saying he has been taken in by disinformation. After learning from news reports that the first group of Afrikaners had been granted refugee status and were headed to the United States, President Cyril Ramaphosa's spokesman slammed Washington. Do you really, let me stop right here. Does anybody think Trump really believes this? Does he really believe that these Afrikaners are being mistreated? Is that real? You think he really believes that? I doubt it. Quote, these people won't be stopped from going, albeit under a false narrative, the spokesman Vincent Magwenya told NPR. There's no legal or any factual basis for the executive order sanctioning this action. None of the provisions of international law on the definition of refugees are applicable in this case. Well, it's the I'm white and I say so law. Trump says they're being mistreated. They need to get over here. They need to get help. The white man has spoken. We all got to go along with it, even though we know it's a damn lie. Okay? Let me read on. Quote, disturbingly, one has to admit that our sovereignty as a country is being grossly undermined and violated by the United States, Magwenya added. Yeah, I would say so too. We're just going to go snatch up some people, claim they're refugees. Oh, they're being persecuted. Oh, they're being done wrong, and they're white. You know? And it's not only the South African government that has expressed disagreement. Many South Africans, black and white, bar a small right-wing minority, are incredulous. NPR spoke to ordinary citizens who were concerned race relations were being set back. 3 decades after the end of the racist system of apartheid, an Afrikaner policy when Nelson Mandela ushered in multiracial democracy. Many South Africans have taken to social media to post memes and comedic videos casting doubt on claims that whites who leave for the U.S. are persecuted, joking they will miss their privileged lives, domestic workers, and beach holidays. Yes, that's probably what's going on with them. They just, they having it so bad. They not, they got beach holidays, they got land, ain't nobody doing nothing to them, but yet they're being persecuted from, I don't know, maybe ghosts or spirits are persecuting them. They're being kicked off of imaginary land. I don't know. It's the I'm white and I say so. We just have to take Trump's word for it, right? Here's one that I got to read because I'm not the only one who noticed this. Look. Refugee advocates in the U.S. have noted how unusual it is that the Afrikaners were processed so quickly. There were about 3 months between Trump's executive orders and the first group's departure for the U.S. Often, applications for refugee status in the U.S. can take years to process, but with these guys, it only took 3 months or less. But they're being persecuted. Anyway. The Episcopal Church announced on Monday that it is terminating its partnership with the government to resettle refugees, citing moral opposition to resettling the Afrikaner refugees. To make a long story short, you're lying like shit, and we can't support that. In a letter sent to members of the church, the Most Reverend Sean W. Rowe, the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, said that 2 weeks ago the government informed them that we are expected to resettle white South Afrikaners from South Africa whom the U.S. government has classified as refugees. The request, Rose said, crossed a moral line for the Episcopal Church, which is part of the global Anglican communion that boasts among its leaders the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a South African icon and celebrated opponent of apartheid. Yes, they said it crossed a moral line. What's the moral line? The moral line is thou shalt not tell a damn lie. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying about the status of these people that you're calling refugees, and you're lying about the whole thing. All right? A U.S. government employee who was not authorized to speak to the media told NPR they considered what is happening in this case immigration fraud. And that's more than likely what it is. I mean, these people ain't got no reason to lie about it, do they? No, they don't. All right, finally, it says the Episcopal Church announced on Monday that it is terminating its partnership with the government to resettle refugees, citing moral opposition to the resettling the Afrikaner refugees. In a letter sent to members of the church, wait a minute, let me skip down. The Most Rev. Sean W. Rowe, the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, said that 2 weeks ago the government informed them that we are expected to resettle white Afrikaners from South Africa, whom the U.S. government has classified as refugees. The request, Rowe said, crossed a moral line. Okay, I think I read that already. Oh, yeah, my bad. Sorry about that, y'all. The U.S. government employee who was not authorized to speak to the media told NPR they considered what is happening, in this case, immigration fraud. All right, the Afrikaners' arrival comes after Trump effectively suspended the U.S. refugee admissions program in January. Quote, across the country, refugee resettlement agencies have closed or cut staff, and for refugees about to fly to the U.S., their travel authorizations were canceled. Thousands are now stuck waiting and face growing danger. Ken Spiker, who founded Nova Refugees, a support network in the D.C. region, told NPR. All right. There's another story of white privilege, right? Hey, man, finally for FBA and for black people, for the Team Black, not just FBA, but Team Black, that's all blacks. I want to have a team meeting here. We know where this is going. We know where this is going. Citizenship, they'll have the right to remain violent. They really already got that. So that's just more reason why we shouldn't be playing around, wasting our time, getting misdirected with fake movies that they, this periodic movie play they run on us ever so often. We don't have time for things like that. We need to be really trying to get our co-ops together, trying to get some ground under our feet so that we can do what we need to do, okay? And it ain't going to be no telling what we may need to do, But whatever that is, we need to have the ability to do it. So we need to just be tuning up, getting ourselves right for everything. I mean, because, ultimately this is just means there's going to be more opposition. Team Black, we have no friends, plus we're divided amongst ourselves. So we're in a hell of a conundrum, but hey, The gods and goddesses, at the end of the day, we're built for it. We're going to handle it. We see what's happening. It is what it is. We can call it out. They got plausible deniability. They're going to deny it. They're going to deny that there's any such thing as white privilege or the right to remain violent. We all know that's a lie. We're not going to let them play in our face. You doing what you're doing. And like I said, come election time, if all of this is what it is, you know what the Black Americans need to do. We need to consider, right? Listening to all these candidates are not going to address it. It would take a miracle. It's going to take a miracle for them to acknowledge what's being done to us. And since they're not going to acknowledge what's being done to us, not as clearly as I'm doing right now, just start to get wiser around election time. Just consider, the couch.
Yes, man, me, dirty South, dirty Carolina. From the South, giving hip-hop mouth to mouth.
Yeah, my hip-hop is good to the last drop. Doesn't matter if you a have or a have not. Hip-hop is a bush, sometimes you gotta trim it.